Everybody, this is Calvin Waite. I trade crypto for a living. I'm not a registered or licensed financial advisor, planner, or broker, so nothing on this channel should be taken as a recommendation to buy or sell. I also trade all of these things, so I probably have a vested interest in there. But there's plenty of entertainment value and lots of education, so this will be awesome. For those of you who didn't know, my subscription channel is live. So look at the link in the description over at cryptoinfluencers.com and you can see how I make all of my trades and what I do and what I think about everything. This channel is for more hypothetical and looking at trends, and the other one is for actual trading, so you might be interested in that. All right. I hope everybody is doing well on this FOMC shenanigans day. So we've been waiting to see what the market is going to do at the beginning of, we've been waiting for, we've got banks being bailed out, money's being printed again, all that insanity is happening, and it's the Fed's job to lower interest rates. So they're inflating the US dollar and they're trying to lower interest rates. Well, lower inflation to 2% by raising interest rates. So they're raising and printing, and it's all over the map. And you can kind of see on top I have Bitcoin, in the middle I have Ethereum, and on bottom we have the S&P, SPY, and you can just see how just volatile it is ever since that announcement. So before we get in a little bit too far, what's up? Jake, nice. Thanks for joining and chatting to let me know everything's working. That's good. So before we get too far, just wanted to remind you that my home base, everything I do is on cryptoinfluencers.com. The live stream's sort of the only exception, but yeah, all the videos show up over here. And so this is where we would do the free channel, and this is the paid channel. We've had some people join, which is cool. Welcome to the pro channel, some of you guys. Let's see. Let's go ahead and take a look at this wild day we've got. This morning there was a lot of anticipation that there would be good news coming out of this FOMC meeting, and this morning Bitcoin jumped up quite a bit. Things leveled off, and then throughout the day, the stock market has appreciated what is going on. Bitcoin and Ethereum, they have struggled. So just kind of interesting to see, sort of what's been going on there. But let's go ahead and do a quick analysis on our market. Let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit. Let's see here. Okay, so one thing that we've been watching for, FOMC meeting or not, we are expecting, or at least I'm expecting, Bitcoin to, it looks like we're leveling off a bit. So if we get a little bit, we're getting a little bit toppy, and it would make sense, on the daily at least, to come back and find some sort of support. Our most likely scenario is this 200-week moving average, that this would be pretty awesome support. And this is until our other averages reach us. So we've got our 50 down below and our 20, and these are all, they're doing pretty well. 23,600, and yeah, our 20 is at 24,000. So we have a lot to move here. So, but yeah, we are kind of leveling off. If Bitcoin levels off, that sometimes does cause Bitcoin dominance to come down. And we were up quite a bit further this morning, and Bitcoin dominance is dropping a little bit. But our Bitcoin dominance is just about to a place where it should start leveling off or retreating. If we start retreating quickly like this, we're going to see Ethereum and the alts really move fast. So there's a lot of anticipation there. Kind of an interesting market that we're working on. Ethereum, this entire time, we've been waiting for an actual breakout. We have resistance at 2,000. And so we've been hesitating. We've kind of pulled back and found support on our resistance that we were showing at around 17,000, 17.5, something like that. And today we kind of had a nice long candle down, but we're looking really close to a breakout on Ethereum. And Ethereum will break out to about 2000. That's exactly what I'm expecting. So everything on the charts, not a huge difference. The FOMC was not bad news. It was neutral news because the market was expecting this move. And we will kind of go from there. So yeah, no major changes. I don't see a lot. I don't see anything brand new or eminent in charts or anything. So we're kind of in a holding pattern, and we'll kind of see how things play out. Somebody asked me, I don't remember which format. I think it was on StockTwits. They wanted me to answer a question that they had, and it was just wanted me to talk about the early days of my trading and my past mistakes and how I've learned my risk management. So maybe we can just sit and talk about some of these things. Since there's really no response, like the FOMC meeting really didn't do anything. I mean, while we're chatting, I suppose I could bring up the markets so we can kind of watch and see what's happening. Look at that. So this is the 1 minute chart. Bitcoin on top, Ethereum in the middle, S&P on the bottom. So looks like we're getting a bit of a bounce and exiting the red zone on the 1 minute. So maybe markets are going to enjoy this news. This is why I don't trade more than once a day. You just can't really tell on these shorter time frames what the true sentiment is. So you need to kind of zoom out. All right. So the first place where I really understood risk management, when I first started trading, I traded Forex markets. And I just didn't quite understand everything. And Forex markets are really highly leveraged. And so you can't even trade them without being pretty leveraged. Well, I put in a position, and I think I was even on a practice account, and it just went to zero. I just got liquidated, and I was like, I wonder what happened. So I didn't quite fully understand. I was trying to figure out how to lower my exposure and not be so highly leveraged, but it was kind of built in, and I just wasn't educated enough to really figure it all out. Well, then I moved on to stocks, and then I discovered, so I was doing stocks and doing some research, and I came across a strategy that I thought was interesting. I was watching coins that had at least a 20% gain multiple days in a row. And about 3 days in a row, if there was a stock that had a 20% or more gain 3 days in a row, usually there was a pretty decent pullback on day 4. And so I looked at it and I watched it for quite a while, and I found many times when shorting those would actually make money. And so after I'd been watching that for a little while, I decided to go ahead and give it a shot. And back then I was dirt poor. I had no money. I saved and scrimped and done everything I could to have a $3,000 trading account. And there was a coin that did exactly what I thought it would do. It went up 3 days in a row of over 20%. And so I put in my short, and I put too big of a position in. And it kept going, and the next day it kept going. And I was sweating, and it was really, really nerve-wracking. And finally, I got a call from the broker, and they said, "Hey, man, your account's underwater. We're going to have to close your position at a loss." And I was dirt poor, and I was completely devastated. And I lost my entire $3,000, and in fact, I had to come up with $250 more just to break even. And man, was that a good lesson for me. It just really, had I done a smaller position size, it would have worked actually. It came back, but yeah, a little risky. I wouldn't necessarily recommend you do that on the stock market. But anyway, it really burned me, and I was really surprised. This was before I was introduced to Bitcoin or anything else, and I was very. It was very sobering to realize how fast you could lose all your money in one trade, And so from that, I kind of, I learned more. I got involved in options and learned kind of that volatile world, and messed around with some things. But, didn't really get better. It takes time to really learn how to put the brakes on your trading and not to put so much exposure into one position. And then I got involved into Bitcoin, and just looking at the past of my history, I think I've made some trades with way too much exposure, but I never got myself into a position where I could lose all of my money. So from that first experience, I realized, I realized where the limits were. Crypto back in the day, you couldn't short anything, so you couldn't really lose all your money besides, if you got all of your money into an alt that disappeared or something. But I usually stayed very safe. Like from that point on, I was pretty safe. And I'd watched, so I started Bitcoin back in 2012, and I just saw all the alts come on. When I entered Bitcoin, there were only 8 altcoins. There was, the newest one was Feathercoin, and it was number 8. Litecoin had been out for a year or something, and we had all these other, little coins here and there. And it was only even 6 months to a year in, and the original 8 were just, they almost had disappeared off the face of the earth. And I realized how important it was to stay in Bitcoin. So I kind of consolidated most of what I wanted into Bitcoin. And I had my ups and downs, and I risked way too much at times and different things, but I never got to a point where I put so much at risk that I overexposed myself. And it's only been the last probably 4 or 5 years that I've really kind of figured out that the secret to doing well with trading is keeping that position small. Crypto is so volatile that you'll make a good return. You don't have to 100x, because the people trying to 100x will end up with a zero, with a negative 1x, or they'll lose their money. That's just how that works. So you're better off being smarter and more conservative, because you'll still make a phenomenal return, and you just don't have that exposure. But if you've ever gotten yourself into a situation, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't yet, it's almost hard to learn without doing it. When you blow yourself up, you realize, like, it sinks in, like the lesson goes in deep. And so if you can learn from your mistake and actually seriously limit your risk and be more careful, then you're great. If you think it was a one-off and you're still doing the same things and you don't learn, you'll just do it again. It's just how that works. So I hope that gives you the answer to that question. Risk management is not something that you learn almost from anywhere, but all the professionals, all the people that do it for a living, that's the main thing they're worried about. They're not worried about making, doubling their portfolio tomorrow or anything else. They're more worried about risk management than anything else. And so it's definitely the difference between a newbie and a seasoned trader. Seasoned traders know what it's like, and we're way more risk averse. It's at the top of the game. And a lot of people will teach you how to trade, but even the best strategy will blow up in your face if you don't have risk management in place. So that's kind of what the Pro Channel is about. It's the only place you're really going to learn how risk management works. And I learned it from myself. I didn't really learn it from anywhere else, because the people that have strategies that are working, they're not gonna tell you what their strategy is. They're gonna sell books, they're gonna sell advice, they're gonna sell hype, they're gonna sell their training videos and whatever else they've got, but they will never teach you risk management, because they don't know it themselves. They don't understand it. So the way they're making money is by selling shovels to gold miners rather than mining themselves. So it's kind of different. Anyway, so that is hopefully the answer to that question. Thanks for jumping into chat, all of you guys. I can see chat on Twitch and Facebook and YouTube. So if you're on anything else, then you might have to switch over. Let's see. All right, Spencer. If the momentum of the S&P moves to Bitcoin after close, I guess I don't know what that means. Yeah, so right now the market is in complete indecision. The FOMC meeting did absolutely nothing. Nobody's sure what to take from this, and they're not sure how to digest the news. and I missed the news conference. Was dropping off my son at preschool. That's why I'm a little late sometimes. But this is a pretty big nothing burger so far. Pretty soon the market will decide on a direction and run with it really hard, just so that the day traders can have something to stress about. But yeah, anyway, blue sky. How significant is the $30,000 level? Where do you see Bitcoin heading if it gets rejected off the 30,000 level? That is a great question. Let's go take a look at the weekly. So 30,000 level is a round number, and there is some action in this area, but to be honest, the resistance is here. If I zoom out, this is a line I put on just yesterday. There are some lower wicks down here. These lower wicks are 28,800. That was our low of this section right here. And the lowest body was at 28,630. So 28,630 was our lowest candle body, and that's where I drew this line. And look at that. We have a currently, so we got 5 hours left. And this is why you can't trade intraday. You have to let these candles close. But we currently have a perfect doji rejecting off of that line. So we absolutely got right on that line. The line's not at 30. 30,000 is a retail number. Retail loves round numbers, but there are more institutions trading Bitcoin than individuals at this point. And so there's not going to be a huge reaction from these round numbers as much, unless it's a big one. At 100,000, yeah, that's a big number. Everyone's going to be looking at that, and it'll be really hard to cross that because of that reason. But 30 is not probably the number. It is definitely 28.6, where I've got this line here. And if we did get up to 29.7, we'd be right in the middle of this pack here. So there could be a little bit here. But the majority of our struggle is going to be at the bottom of this. And since we are high, it would make perfect sense for us to come back down. This is the most likely scenario in my mind. I would expect us to reject off of this line and come back and find support off of our 200. So I'm expecting 200 week moving up would be perfect support. Could we wick down to 25? Yeah, we totally could. But that number is probably 25.7. Every day this will continue to move. If we do that, we're still putting in higher highs and higher lows. And this would be a beautiful handoff between resistance and support. And then the next time we touch 28, we're going to go straight up. That's the most likely scenario in my mind, but anything can happen. I do not have a crystal ball. It's all based on probabilities, and I like to keep my longs where the momentum is. So as long as there's momentum, I'm not gonna try to time this or do anything fancy. And if there is momentum, like let's say if we go sideways, we will likely hit this 100 week. It doesn't have to happen very fast though. This 100 week, we still have plenty of time to get there. But big candle, if we get a doji on the weekly, we will likely fall. We could easily get down to the 200 like I'm talking about. We just don't want to get below the 50% mark on this, but we could easily do that and still intersect the wicks that are right here. And then we re-climb and boom, we'll hit the 100 pretty fast. From there, we're going to kind of have to play it by ear because there's really nothing above it. There's not a lot of, there's so much noise in this entire area from 35,000 to 60 that we could go anywhere. There's really no rhyme or reason. There's no clean cut level of resistance or support when we get above the 100, like 36.1 possibly, 37.6 possibly, 43,000 possibly. You know what I mean? And you've got tops here at 46. Like there's so much noise up here that it's a total crapshoot on where the resistance actually will end up. So at this point, we're going to be reading candle bodies to see where the turnaround could be. Anything with a long candle top that pulls back, those will be potential reversals at the top of wherever we're headed. And then hopefully on the daily, we will be able to read the momentum. You know, if we lose the 20, that means things are coming back for support at some level. But we're so high above our 20, like we can't even use that as very much help. 24,000, and we're trading up here at 27,008 now. It's hard to say like whether we're, you know, this won't be too helpful for us right now. So this market needs to mature. The fact that we broke out and that we've held this area is phenomenal. If we had just come out and a day later popped back, we'd be in for a lot more work to get through all of this. But the fact that we've hung out up here for this long, even if we do reverse, it's not going to be very serious. In my opinion, I don't think it will be. So there's a lot to read here, but looks pretty good. Good question. Jake M. What was the FOMC news? I guess I could Google, but I'm trying to pay attention. Yeah, so every, I don't know, six weeks or something, the federal government, they come out with whether they're going to raise interest rates or not. And this is the federal rate that kind of drives everything else in the market. So if banks are borrowing at now, after the 0.25% raise that just happened, and that happened, the announcement happened right here. So that's why the wicks went up and down all over the map. So when this announcement comes out, the world has to adjust to the shock of that news. That means that getting a loan is going to be more expensive. That means that companies refinancing are going to have to pay more interest. People may not choose projects, or they may not expand their business because of the additional burden that interest rates are going to cause. So they raise interest rates to slow down the economy, and they're doing that because inflation is too high. So it's kind of annoying that they printed so much money, all these trillions and trillions of dollars, and bailed out and essentially gave it to companies and banks, and only like 1% of that ever made it to the people, but that 1% appeased everybody, and so that they didn't have a big public outcry beyond what happened, just because everyone got their little $1,000 stimulus check or something. And now we're paying the price for it because inflation is insane, and now they're raising rates and putting a lot of pain in the economy because of that irresponsible decision. It was just really kind of a mess. I'm thoroughly convinced that politicians will do what keeps them in power more than what is in the best interest of the population. And I know that's a very pessimistic outlook, but I just don't trust a lot of the power in governments. All right, Spencer is talking about how the rates were not as bad as they could. 0.5% was originally expected, and we just ended up with what we were at, so that's good. Let's see, any other questions? Love, thanks for joining chat. Sounds okay. Guess that's just joining the conversation in chat. That's fine. Local Liquid, hey Calvin, what's up, man? Not much. And let's see, chances we get an alt rally soon. Yeah, so the answer to that question is when Bitcoin dominance finally starts dropping. So if I go to Bitcoin dominance, our Bitcoin dominance is really high. If Bitcoin dominance starts dropping, that's the definition of an alt season, because money is starting to flow out of Bitcoin and into the alts. Currently, the alts are struggling, and they have since December. This was kind of our bottom. So alts have actually been struggling. Bitcoin's gone up since December. That just means that the alts didn't go up as fast. And so let's see, I can grab the others chart. So the alts did go up since December. Recently, they've pulled back a lot. But you can see the shape of this chart is a pretty A pretty good move, and then we've kind of been struggling. Now, if I compare that to, I'll put Bitcoin on the bottom. You can see there's quite a visible difference. Because as Bitcoin rose really quickly all the way up to its peak, alts did follow, but from a percentage standpoint, it didn't quite get there. And now, when Bitcoin dropped and the alts dropped, Bitcoin launched and overcame its prior high and has moved up into this higher territory. And look at alts, they never overcame their high. So they are lagging. But if you ask me which chart structure looks better between these two, it is more like the alts actually look better because they've gone up a little bit more measured. There's been a little bit more support. There's a little bit more strength in this market. The one thing that is happening, I didn't even realize this. I didn't notice that the others dominance chart is about to have a death cross. Interesting. I didn't even see that. On the weekly, yeah, this will close this week. I didn't even realize that. So microcaps are having a death cross on the weekly. So this is probably what's doing a lot of this slowdown. Interesting. So we really, this could have some repercussions for a little while. None of this will matter if Bitcoin launches though. So once Bitcoin has its footing, it drags up the rest of the market. Whether alts are late or early or whatever, it'll eventually get there. So yeah, during the course of our discussion, so this is why it's funny to do our live streams on the most volatile day. This is pretty rough looking. Bitcoin is taking an absolute beating right now. But as all the people in the pro channel, we just trade once a day and we let the market do whatever it needs to do. So this doesn't matter until we look at the chart again and we'll reevaluate everything, see what we need to do. But yeah, this is pretty brutal. Look at this. In the last, so $840, we're down $850 since the close of yesterday. Since this morning, we're down 1,370. Interesting. Yep. So, yeah, markets, they just do what they do. We have been expecting on this channel some kind of a pullback. A pullback to 25 or 26,000 is fully acceptable, and we'll still have a very bullish market. So moves like this, just doesn't bother you. If your risk management is in place and you've got your orders all in play, you're golden. So you don't stress out about stuff like this. Hi Calvin, how probable do you think, this is Cohen, sorry. Hi Calvin, how probable do you think it is that Bitcoin goes to 100,000 within 2 years? I think it's extremely probable. This is our, so Bitcoin is still doing it's still playing with the 4-year cycle. And the 4-year cycle is the result of this halving event that happens. Well, the biggest move in Bitcoin's history happens from the halving until whatever peak we end up at. And that's usually the biggest move of Bitcoin, and it happens once every 4 years. So in a year, when the next halving occurs, we're going to be at some point, and we're going to move up a decent amount. Let me go to the weekly chart so that it isn't quite so messy. But everyone does this, and we've done this 100 times. But this move here was 28x, so 2,800% from the halving. And then this move here was less intense, but still intense. 588. So this was about a 6x from there. So if we're going from 28,000 to 8, that ratio is, yeah, it's dropping by about a fifth. So if by the halving we only double, we would only need to be above $50,000 to hit 100. And that could definitely happen in the next 2 years. So I think the odds are very good. I think the most conservative math puts us there. And so if your investment time horizon is 2 years, and there's a buy-in at about 27, 25,000 or wherever, to 4x your money in 2 years, you really, it's hard to do that anywhere else. So lots of upside in my opinion. So that's kind of the where I'm seeing that. Dougie says Bitcoin is holding up while Bitcoin drops. Is that true? Let's see. ETH to Bitcoin. It is holding up. Interesting. So they are kind of mirroring each other. Yeah, so on the daily, we've been just getting beat down. Bitcoin's been running and Ethereum's been flat. But at this point, Ethereum is not losing more ground than Bitcoin. So this is positive. I'm kind of rooting for Ethereum. I think it's going to be the faster runner throughout this next bull season. So yeah, but it's down at a pretty low level. There's no denying that we're way down. But yeah, if Ethereum can start outperforming Bitcoin, looks like it's holding up, especially on a day like today. That's actually pretty impressive. Nice eye on that, Dougie. Blue sky, Bitcoin's going down fast. Eddie, man, good to see you back. Thoughts on Litecoin price and the Litecoin halving pump? Well, now Litecoin is interesting. Litecoin, yeah, every 4 years Litecoin has a halving also, and we have seen some pretty wild moves in the history of Litecoin around its halving. Let's see. There's a site called Litecoin halving countdown, I think. I'm guessing. Okay, let's just Google it. It should be, I think it's, yeah, let's see, August 2nd, 2023. Litecoinhalving.com. Okay, that's what it was. So yeah, we've got 132 days, about 4 months. 4 months till the halving. So the halving makes an impact if miners are constant. If mining is, if hash rate is growing and increasing, and then you have a halving event and the miners stay the same, then it costs more to get less. And if miners are showing that much confidence and holding and expecting future returns, that's kind of what propels prices upwards. That's why Bitcoin goes up. But if you get the case where the halving occurs and then half the miners drop out because they're not interested or it's not profitable and they don't have confidence in the future, it really depends on the hash rate. So what would be interesting to look at is Litecoin hash rates and see if there is, so here's Litecoin's hash rate. And if we could get all data, so it has been slowly climbing. 4 years ago, the hash rate, so this is near where the double was last time, or when the halving occurred, and hash rate dropped quite a bit. So this doesn't help your Litecoin price. If the halving occurs and then your hash rate drops off, that means that no one's sticking around to mine it after the reward is dropped in half. So the question is will this drop off afterwards? I don't know. So it's kind of a crapshoot. I would much rather read the chart and take it play by play than build up a lot of expectation and everything. This chart is almost bullish. We're getting there. It's definitely not in the red and yellow zones. So we're back to green and yellow, which is awesome. You can't have a red zone if you're trading above the 200. So we're above the 200. There's a full shift in momentum happening here. This dip right here is actually pretty bullish because it shows a lot of strength in the market. So little by little, I'm sure we'll continue to tick up. So I bet it'll perform well, but I don't know if it'll be anything special. I think all the alts will perform pretty well over the next, through the summer. Okay, let's take a look. David Era. Hi, Calvin. Awesome. Blue Sky. If Bitcoin closes at or below 27.3, is that a bearish engulfing candle? Let's look. So we'll go daily. I like to look at Binance just because it's a good. Yeah, I mean, a true bearish engulfing or bullish engulfing, you want to have the majority of the candle body. Like you want to have very, very small wicks. But yeah, we have a pretty big wick on top. This would technically be a bearish engulfing if we closed below this open. We opened at 27.7. So anything below 27,700 would be a bearish engulfing. It'll be really ugly with this long tail on top. So we are probably getting closer to a pullback. But yeah, I just wouldn't, if you ever were going to play something like this, I wouldn't be doing it with your entire stack. You know what I mean? This type of a move, especially at the beginning of a bull market, anything can happen. And so if you're doing small things, I'd be putting a pretty small percentage of your holdings into a little pullback like this, because there's just the reward versus the risk is just not that great. You shorting this would be pretty risky. But whatever you need to do. David Era, what hour is it, Calvin, where you live? I'm on Mountain Time, so I'm in the United States, Utah. And right now, it is 1:18, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Cohen, everybody like the video. David, please look on Solana if you can. Let's take a look. Solana has recently been showing some decent support. Let's take a look. By the way, before we even get to that, I'm still in the Bitcoin chart. One thing that I love to look for, look at this is the 1 minute chart, and we just had this massive sell off over the last 30 minutes from 28.4 down to 27.1. Look at the volumes. Volumes can tell you quite a lot. So just because I'm just looking at this from kind of a million miles up. Obviously, this is a reversal candle. This is definitely a mark of the bottom of this move. But look at our volumes. Our highest volume candle was here, and it was about 4,500 Bitcoin. This move here was 2,000, and the first minute of the FOMC was 2,800. It is likely that this is not the bottom because of the volume. Once you find a bottom that has a higher volume, higher volumes than these, it'll probably be in the 2,500 to 3,000 Bitcoin level. That's usually where you find these local bottoms on the minute chart. Not that it matters, because I'm certainly not trading the 1 minute chart. But from an emotional standpoint, you can kind of see where the selling climaxes are if you look at that. All right, let's go take a look at Solana. Here we go, Solana. See, that's what's funny. After FTX blew up, everyone was putting a nail in the coffin on Solana. This is why I just trade everything. And I almost don't care what is in the underlying, because crypto is so emotional that you just can't call something dead. It dropped a ton, but once the chart starts showing strength, we exited this red zone. There was a massive benefit. Like the lower you go, the better your risk reward is. Like this was a 100% move. We doubled our investment from here, and so you just can't write anything off. No matter what it is, even if the news is real, you just let that thing bleed. at some point a bottom is found, and there's just tons of money to be made because it has to sneeze and you've doubled or tripled where you are. I mean, zoom out a little bit. You know, if we even got close to anything that we were doing before in the hundreds or whatever, this is 5x, 10x from here. It's kind of amazing. So currently we're trading well above our 20, so that's bullish. We closed our day this morning, so my closes are all at 9 o'clock Mountain Time, just because I'm looking at MEXC on TradingView. So this one actually had support of all of the averages. It was looking extremely bullish. We're pulling back a little bit, but this is what I'm seeing across the board on alts. This is why I'm actually still bullish on alts. A lot of these are doing this exact formation. So there has been some kind of consolidation. We dropped through, found resistance, and then we're coming up. So we have kind of this ascending triangle happening. And in this case, we hit this level of resistance pretty significantly twice in a row. We broke out briefly, and what this candle will likely do is it will likely come back, confirm support on the top of this, and it'll probably continue. So I'm actually pretty bullish on Solana. Where I start looking for exits is if we ever close below our 20, because it's, you know, we are technically putting in a high. This is a low, a high, a lower low. If this ends up being a high and we start dipping down, then we'll see a momentum shift to the downside for sure. But I'd be hanging on to this. I wouldn't be too nervous about it until we break below this 20 here, because that's sort of the halfway mark between these 2 points anyway. And once you start trading below there, your chart formation is falling apart. So kind of interesting. Let's see. Blue Sky, thank you. You're welcome. Barbarian Cauldron, seems like a quick pullback that won't last more than an hour. Well, it's hard to go down $1,000 in a day and be done in an hour. That's why, yeah, I'd probably hang on to the speculation until we have more time under our hands. But yeah, I'm not sure. 4 hours from now, what will this look like? It's hard to say. We might have one more selling climax. That's kind of what I'm seeing from the volume here. But even on these little charts on the 1 minute, you'll see some move to the upside if we exit this red zone. But we gotta oscillate and kind of recover. If we go straight up to the 50 even on the 1 hour, we'll likely pull back again because we came up pretty fast. I'm not a 1 minute chart trader, and I don't advise anyone to do that at all. All right, let's see. Jake M, should we look at Algorand? Sure, we can look at everything. This is just hangout time now that we've sort of, I mean, there was not, the FOMC didn't really give us anything unusual. Markets are just kind of taking the opportunity. When there's no news, the market will do whatever it was going to do in the first place. Bitcoin's due for a pullback. So Bitcoin's responding by, we'll probably get whatever pullback we're going to get, which will be super good. We don't want to just go straight up. If we can kind of get a pullback and go measured, our bull market's going to be way stronger. And then look at S&P, totally flat. It's just got a full indecision candle because nobody knows what the S&P is going to do. I'm bullish on the S&P, but I think there's a lot of fears of recession and everything else. So the result of the FOMC that really didn't give us anything is just a full indecision candle. So 34 more minutes till we close this. We've got wicks on both sides. It's fully balanced. Like it's an indecision candle. But whatever Bitcoin needs to do, we're just going to take the market as it comes and react as it comes. All right, back to Algo. Let's look. Algo is a coin. Let's see, where is it? Here it is. Yes, Algo is looking pretty bullish to me. We are definitely above our 50. Our 50 is up nice and high, but We are now battling with our 100, and we have such a nice low swing down here that this kind of puts a significant emotional stop to downside. When you have a move that goes down so significantly and then you pull up so hard from it, it kind of sets it in people's mind that the buy opportunity, like that they've missed it. And then when you pull back and you do not go below the 50% mark of this move, this is bullish. So now we've come up and we've rejected off the same line that we were doing before. Do you see how this is similar to the other chart that we just barely looked at? Solana's, or maybe it was Litecoin. I don't remember which one. Whichever one. We're having the same resistance point, and we've got rising support underneath us. And we've done this for long enough that we've crossed our 20. We're just barely resisting and testing our 100, but it's all at the same level. It's not going to take much before we get a little close above, and then that will be a buy signal, and we'll probably exit the yellow zone. So this one's, in my mind, this is a patient hold, but I think there's a lot more upside here. I think everything's down a bit because of the Bitcoin dropping so fast. That always shakes up everything. But man, when most of the charts are showing this kind of bullish structure, I think an alt season's coming up. There's some good things boiling underneath all of this. Dilemma, late one at work, made it on eventually. Cool. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you made it. Cool. So much news about Algorand. I don't like it. Yeah, I ignore the news. I think the news, yeah, you'll see buys and sells before the news does it. If you're watching news, then you're late to the game. Or there's a lot of misdirection. People get excited about non-events, and you'll get buy and sell signals that don't matter. In the chart, you can see it. People are voting with their wallets all the time on the market, and that's where the rubber hits the road. When people are voting with their wallet, they're telling you that there's momentum in a chart. Whether you flip on the news and you see horrible news everywhere, that doesn't matter if people are voting with their wallets. The people that matter are the ones buying this thing. You know what I mean? The news will give you blues. Yes, well said, Jake. All right, guys, that is pretty much it. The point of today is markets do what they do. They will be all over the map. There will be ups, there will be downs. And my goal, especially with the Pro Channel, is to teach people to be underreactors. We want to underreact to everything. When the market is scary, we underreact. When the market is crazy bullish and everyone's losing their mind, we underreact. You don't want to be in a place where you're making all of your decisions based on your gut or your emotions, because you're just going to get killed. Are there ways to determine a fake out? Not really. To be honest, if a fake out comes, it's because a whale or somebody who has a ton of power over the market just goes all at once. And there's no heads up when that happens. Whales purposefully move markets, and it's to scare retail. They're just herding the fish around. And so the way you can't determine it until after it happens, and that doesn't help anybody. And so what it comes down to is the risk management. When your position size is small enough that you benefit when it goes your way, but that you're not completely devastated and you have a second chance to improve your risk reward on the other side, then you're in good shape. And most moves to the upside that are surprises are followed by a surprise move to the downside. And so same thing with downside. If you're surprised to the downside, usually the next move is to the upside after a long consolidation. But when big moves to the downside happen and then the market starts showing strength, that's when I start adding to the position. And then it usually pays off. I just have to be patient. But it's all about keeping those positions small and being very, very careful about risk management. Let's see. David, the news gives you focus. The charts speak the truth. Yeah. The news tries to bring things to people's attention, but most of the time you want to bring attention to like a whale would want to use news to their advantage to bring people's attention to it if they needed exit liquidity. If the whale is accumulating, they don't want to say anything. They're just going to buy quietly, but they will sell loudly. So when they're buying, they're quiet, and then when the price moves up significantly, that's when they want to get it on the news and shout it out, and then they've got exit liquidity. Cool. It's all psychology, and it's just all about, you know, the way to win is to you know, keep your position small, manage your risk, and not overreact to every little thing that happens in the news. We are in a bull market, guys. We will see days that we're pulling back in a significant way. How do you confirm the breakout of the best looking inverse head and shoulders ever? You come down and confirm the neckline as support. Like, it's okay to drop back. In fact, this chart would be so bullish if we could get a small red weekly candle. This would be phenomenal. If we went up this much and all we did was give back maybe 1,000 or 2, it would be insanely bullish. So yeah, not even batting an eye at this move today. All right, you guys, super fun to chat. It's really cool to do some of this in real time. I really enjoy Wednesdays. But if you want to chat and talk about everything, join the pro channel. We're always asking questions and figuring stuff out over there. If you're ever curious, I have a number that will private message me, and we'll just chat away and talk through positions and whatever I can do to help you. It'd be, you know, it's my pleasure to do it. All right, you guys, have an awesome midweek. We will catch you tomorrow. Thanks for making it to the end of my video. Make sure you keep those trades small. Don't force a trade. Don't get impatient. And if you want to see how all this works, please come over and check me out on the subscription channel at cryptoinfluencers.com. Again, the link is in the description.